How is it that my least favorite entry in the Fast and Furious series also serves as a major turning point for the franchise overall? Like, how did that happen? Alright, I'm not going to mince words here because, quite frankly, I had zero intention of seeing the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift in theaters when it was released 15 years ago. Like, Vin Diesel was gone, Paul Walker was gone. What more was there for this franchise to do? And quite honestly, the only reason I did end up seeing the film in theaters was because there happened to be a power outage in my neighborhood the weekend that it came out, and it looked like it was going to last throughout the night into the next day. And I said to myself, I'm bored, I have nothing else to do. Let me drive into the city and see if they have power, and if they do, I'm going to go to a local movie theater and check out a movie. And it just so happens that Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift was the only film that was remotely interesting enough for me to check out. Were my expectations met? Yes. But you also have to factor in that they were debilitatingly low. But hindsight being what it is incredible to look back on this film and acknowledge that certain elements that have proven massively successful for the franchise after this film originated in this film. Like, Justin Lin as a director has always been great, and just to see what he's done with the franchise over the number of films that he's done is absolutely incredible, and it all starts here with Tokyo Drift. But, like I said, this felt like the point where the Fast and Furious was about to veer into the arena of direct-to-video sequel fodder and join the ranks of the numerous Scorpion King sequels, not to mention the half-dozen sequels of WWE's The Marine. Now, Universal, obviously looking at the slightly higher gross for Too Fast, Too Furious over the original Fast and the Furious, said, hey, let's take another shot at this, but unfortunately, we did not want to bring back Paul Walker because at 33 years old at the time, they felt that the actor was too old. Mind you, they were developing the third film as a means to get back Vin Diesel, who at the time of the filming would have been 39, so make of that what you will. Enter Lucas Black playing high schooler Sean Boswell, who's very much a rebel without a clue, whose penchant for street racing and massive destruction of private property has forced his mother's hand, and she decides to send him to live with his father, who is stationed in Tokyo, Japan. And much like Daniel LaRusso in The Karate Kid, Sean wastes no time writing checks with his mouth that his ass couldn't possibly cash as he ingratiates himself into the world of underground drift racing, which puts him at odds with the undisputed Drift King, or DK, named Takashi. Like, I want to believe that I made this connection when I first saw the film, but yes, if you look at it from a certain perspective, the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is to Karate Kid as the first Fast and Furious is to Point Break. And I'm still questioning whether it worked out as good as it did for that first Fast and Furious film. The parallels are there. You've got the reckless teen who's living with a divorced parent in an unfamiliar locale. You've got the bullies who use this specific activity to assert their dominance over their peers. And you have Sean, who is forced to learn this activity to sort of make his own way and take down the bullies that are taunting him, and even falls in love with the main bully's girl. Like, everything is there. They really did not stretch the creative muscles when they were coming up with this script. And to give Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift credit, it is an interesting concept to incorporate into the franchise, because this was something that was definitely gaining in popularity around the mid-aughts, so it made sense, and it was something that definitely, again, set it apart from what the other two films had done, because now we're not just seeing those, 10-second quarter-mile races that in actuality would last at minimum 2 minutes, regardless of how much they were trying to exaggerate how fast the cars were going. Of course, filming anything in Tokyo at all proved to be a monumental challenge, because while a lot of filming took place in LA, they did want to get as much authentic footage of Tokyo as they could, which meant that they had to kind of work around the incredibly restrictive permit rules and laws in Tokyo, so to the point that they were employing decoys that could be arrested in the place of director Justin Lin, just in case police came around, which I guess happened quite a bit. And to its credit, Tokyo Drift is not without its charms. Like I said, it's a film I'm willing to tolerate even if I don't outright enjoy it. But there is that sort of lean approach to just the filming and the story and the characters. Again, we're not trying to do a lot of heavy lifting here. We're just trying to have sort of like a simple coming-of-age story with Sean, which kind of feels like a nice, not necessarily palate cleanser, but just a nice change of pace from sort of the high stakes of Too Fast, Too Furious, for example. Like, nothing feels that urgent, even though we do have this whole element with Takashi and his Yakuza affiliation. And it's kind of great because that affiliation is in the form of an uncle played by the one and only Sonny frickin' Chiba. This is about 2 or 3 years after Kill Bill Volume 1, so people who may not have been familiar with this actor got a little bit more of him in this film, and he is just great because he is just quiet, and you get the sense of not knowing what this man is going to do. He's just chilling in his, tailored suits and whatnot, smoking a cigar, and using his words very sparingly, to the point that the fear of the character comes from you not knowing what to expect from him. And that is one of the things I do legitimately love about this film. And even Lucas Black's character of Sean, he has that whole country boy cockiness to him that, is definitely annoying, but over the course of the film, they do try to soften his character, make him a little more humble, especially when he has to be face-to-face with Sonny frickin' Chiba. Because you do have this whole arc of his character having to go from what he's known to what he can learn, and that is something that, again, I feel definitely helps to sort of soften some of the rougher edges of the film, and you start to, see a bit of humility in him, and you get to be endeared toward Sean a little bit more, and you see him sort of realizing his mistakes and trying to be better. And I think that's important for any character, especially in a film like this. But if Tokyo Drift does anything to score major points with fans of this franchise, it has to be the introduction of Sung Kang as Han, because this character is that dude. Much like Sonny Chiba, Han doesn't say a lot, and that's by design. He's not supposed to be this character that's going out of his way to show you how cool he is. And I think it's even great when you look back on the character now, knowing what you know about the other films in this franchise, because yes, it makes perfect sense that Han would be cool as a cucumber after allowing this, newbie to come into his world and say, here, drive my car in a drift race, even though you've never drifted before, and completely wreck it. And so to the point where he just leans in on Sean and says, don't leave town. Very quietly, very calmly. And again, you think about it from the standpoint, because at this point, looking at it chronologically, Han has already been stealing gas tankers. He's already ripped off a major crime boss in Rio. And he's also saved the world from a would-be cyber terrorist. So the fact that he can be in this film and just be like, oh, you wrecked my car? That's fine. I probably still have a couple of million from that Rio job I did. It's amazing! But the bottom line is that Han serves as a great counterbalance to Lucas Black's character and making him more of an endearing character and more of a humble character as well. And I think that's very important. It's something that a lot of fans definitely gravitated towards in this film. And I think even though Justin Lin hasn't really co-signed on this fan theory, it's definitely fun to look at Sung Kang as Han in the Fast and Furious films and imagine that he is the exact same character that we saw in Justin Lin's earlier film, Better Luck Tomorrow, where he's playing a high schooler named Han, who was a smoker. And as anyone knows from Fast 5, Giselle was able to guess that Han used to be a smoker, hence his compulsive eating. So just having those little bits in there is definitely fun. And again, Sung Kang is such a charismatic actor that he doesn't have to do much to make an impact in these films. And obviously, again, this is present because even though he dies in Tokyo Drift, he is back in the upcoming Fast 9. So again, can't wait for this man's return. Obviously, everyone who was hashtagging justice for Han for the past 3 to 5 years is getting their wish now. But even with all that, I feel like Tokyo Drift is still trying to be more of a late 90s, early 2000s teen movie at a time when the teen movie of that era was kind of falling away. We weren't seeing a lot of what they were doing. Like a lot of the kitsch of those films from the 90s into the early 2000s wasn't really there anymore. So trying to do it in 2006 kind of felt, a little bit incongruous, if I may. And you just kind of have to factor that in with the fact that it's following these other two Fast and Furious films, where even from the first film, the stakes were way higher than they are in this one. And so much of it isn't really gelling together. But again, you still have some great car scenes, you still have, a lot of technical know-how going into this film, because I think they had a lot of drift racers who were consultants, and even some popular drift racers make cameos in the film, and especially during the scene where Sean is practicing and you see two fishermen. Those are actual drift racers from the culture. So you have that authenticity there, which definitely helps. And even the finale race between Sean and Takashi is pretty damn good, although I still feel like I need a Mythbusters episode to see if you could actually take a muscle car and make it a drift racer, but I don't know anything. I drive a 2004 Honda POS. Come on now. And in the end, despite costing about $10 million more than Too Fast, Too Furious, Tokyo Drift would ultimately end up only grossing half of what that film made. And again, you think to yourself, maybe it's time to pack it up. Maybe we've done all we can do with this and it's time to just move on to other things. And especially after a very poor test screening for Tokyo Drift, Universal still was willing to say, hey, Vin, baby, can you help us out here a little bit? And Vin Diesel, who didn't want anything to do with the franchise at this point, if we're being perfectly honest, said apparently that he would come back for a cameo and do it for free on the condition that he was given the rights to the Riddick franchise. And of course, we had that cameo at the end of Tokyo Drift that would again factor into subsequent films in a different way, but still not enough to get those grosses up. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, where else could this franchise possibly go? There's not much else they could do now, is there? Hey guys, thanks for watching as always. If you've got your own thoughts or opinions on Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift that you would like to share, go ahead and leave a comment in the section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the notification bell, share this video with your friends and family, and if you'd like to keep up to date on more At Random videos, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button right over here.